In this video, we're going to take a look at two Excel lookup and reference functions that are often used in spreadsheet dashboarding applications, and these are index and match. So I'm going to start by taking a look at index, and here we have as an array sales data that's arranged by region and by month. And suppose we want to pick off the sales in the north in February. Well, this is a good job for index. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in what we would need for inputs. And index takes integer inputs. So I need then the first row and the second column. Okay, from there, I'm just going to go ahead and fire up index. And for this first example, I'll use the formula builder. So I'm going to go to lookup and reference and index. And you see that there are two methods to use it. The first one is the most common method. And we can see here using the formula builder that we have three inputs. And the third one is optional. So first it's looking for an array, and so here's my array. It can be just a series of rows or a series of columns, or in this case it's both. And then for my row number, I'm going to point at B3, and for my optional column number, I'm going to point at B4. Okay, so with that I am done, and we see that the function works as advertised. It is getting the first row, north, and the second column. And then by changing these numbers, I can get different results from different regions. Okay, but that's just a little bit clunky if you want to use as a dashboard application. All right, so it'd be much nicer if we could use these row labels and these column labels instead of numeric inputs. All right, and so that's where match comes in. I'm going to close the formula builder. So let's go ahead and take a look at match. Okay, so match also has some optional arguments. It can be used three different ways: as an exact match, a less than or equal to match, or a greater than or equal to match. The most common way it's used is as exact, and that's how I'm going to use it here. And in addition to being able to look up text values, we can use match to look up the result of a function and output that. So for example, say I have a stream of random numbers, and I want to pick the maximum of those out of that list. All right, a fairly dynamic task, given that the rand function is itself volatile. So let's see how match will tackle this. And once again, I'll start by using the function builder. So it's a lookup and reference, and it's match. And the lookup value here is, it would be the text value or any other value you want. Here I'm going to look up the max, and I'm going to look up the max from this range of data, and I'm going to look it up from the same range of data. Okay, and then the match type is going to be exact. Okay, with that we are done, and we see that it's telling us that it is the sixth value. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 0.8942 is in fact the max. If I regenerate my random numbers, it tells me it's 7 this time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it's the last one, and 0.967 is the max. All right, so match is a pretty dynamic function, and when I put it together with index, we can get some pretty interesting outputs. So let's go ahead and take a look at them working together. All right, so it's a copy of the first sheet we looked at, and we want to repeat our exercise. We want to see February sales for the north, and instead of putting in integers, we want to actually use the text strings here. And instead of typing them, it might be a little bit more convenient if I had some drop down to pick the region from. So to do that, I'm going to use data validation. And instead of any value, I'm going to choose a list, and then as the source, it's going to be those regions. Okay, so you see we get a drop down there, and I'll pick north, and then I'll repeat something similar for the month. Select from a list, and then the source, collapse my box here, and point, click, and drag to get the months. Okay. And then, so there's the original inputs we were talking about, north and February. And now we'll just use our index and match together. All right, instead of using the formula builder, I am going to just go ahead and type the function right in the cell. So it's going to be index and our array. And then as the column input, we're going to use match, and we're going to match whatever's in B3, and we're going to get it out of this list of values, and it's going to be exact. And then we're going to match for the column value whatever's in B4, and we're going to get it from this list of values. Okay, so same result, and then we get a little bit more dynamism here by easily being able to change our output. All right, and I'll just throw in one last little dashboarding output that people use quite a bit, and that's the Sparklines. So we can put a little single cell chart in of this row of data. And so I'll select all the data, and I'll go to Insert and then Sparklines, and I'm going to use column, but you see there are other choices here. And once I do that, I selected the data first, and then I just tell it where do I want my Sparklines to appear, and I click OK. All right, and if you decide you want to get rid of your Sparklines, you're not going to be able to just hit delete. Okay, you're going to have to go back into the Sparkline on the insert, and you're going to have to clear them. Okay, so I hope that helps you get started with index and match.